This is Pearse Murray on 1039 Proud FM, and we're talking to Murray. Sorry, I was going to say Glen Morley, but we're talking to Glen Murray. And good morning, Glen.
Good morning, Pearse. How are you?
I'm great. So let's talk about you because that's what the people want to know about you. Tell us about your early days.
Oh my God, I grew up in Montreal, and my had a kind of crazy life. Went to high school, went to art school, played football in high school. I was a bit of sort of artist jock, which is sort of an odd combination.
Certainly.
Then my dad bought a bull,
A which?
a bull.
A bull.
Matter of fact, to be specific, half a bull,
Okay.
and in a farm in Alexandria, Ontario. And I went out and spent my time in Eastern Ontario cleaning barns and milking cows in the summertime.
But not milking the bull, obviously.
No, I was a little bit more. I'd taken family life education by that time,
So you knew
yeah, I knew the
a little
difference.
about the birds and the bees. Now, then all of a sudden you land up in, well, you've traveled a bit and everything, and you land up going into politics in Winnipeg. You were a city councillor.
Well, actually, even before that, I had lived in Ottawa. I had worked in corporate communications with Canada Post. Been very active in the community there. Fell in love with a guy in Toronto. Came here. Was quite active in the Toronto Gay Patrol. That was way back in the early '80s when we wore bright pink fuchsia T-shirts, and we used to meet across from the 519 with big whistles. And that was when the police in Toronto raided our bathhouses and bars, and really didn't respond to the violence that was being perpetrated on the community. And we had this great little thing called the TGP, and we patrol, blow big whistles, and scare the gay bashers away. And that was quite a challenging time.
Now, how long did that organization run for?
Well, about 4 or 5 years in the early '80s, and when I came back to Toronto in 2004, I was pretty impressed because in the same areas that we used to meet, where the police wouldn't respond, we had the Durham Police and the Toronto Police and the Peel Regional Police recruiting gay and lesbian people to the service, and that's how much. Sometimes we don't think things improve as quickly as we'd like. That was a revolution in the way that our relationship with policing in the city is extraordinary as gay and lesbian, transgender people.
Well, it certainly was a big turnaround for the police, I'll tell you that. Well, then how did you land up in Winnipeg then?
Well,
Did you find another boyfriend or something? You ditched the one in Toronto?
No, I had no luck in Ottawa.
No, well,
Actually, no. I was dateless in Ottawa. It was all very sad, and I was getting quite active in AIDS at that time. I was one of the founding members of the Canadian AIDS Society, and through that, and I had I had a very difficult boss, and a young guy had become the director of postal services for Western Canada. So I got invited out there to be part of his team and moved to Winnipeg to continue my career in the public service.
we're back on 1039 Proud FM with Glen Murray, and we're talking about Glen's journey to Winnipeg from Toronto, from Ottawa, but now we're in Winnipeg. So, Glen, here you are in Winnipeg.
Very active in the community. I quit my job at the post office. I was working, taking care of many friends of mine who were getting sick with HIV. The epidemic was getting really bad at that time. And one of my friends, Jim, grabbed me by the face when I was over there cooking supper for him one night. And he said, "What are you doing with your life? If you died right now, what would they put on your gravestone? You worked for the post office." He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I've always loved city government. I've loved urban issues. I want to be a parent. I want to see human rights legislation. I love to see a gay pride day." And he said, "Well, how much time have you put into that?" And I said, "Well, not much." And he said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, the only gay guy I know ever got elected was Harvey Milk, and you know what happened to him, and that was in San Francisco." And he looked at me and he said, "Honey, just because all the gays have left us here in Winnipeg to go to Vancouver and Toronto doesn't mean you shouldn't stop trying to create change. Promise me before I die that you'll try to do these things." And so he died 2 weeks later. And I remember the piece of paper that we'd written the 5 commitments out on. And within 3 years, I'd taken on those challenges. I was one of the first gay men to become a foster parent in Canada. I have a lovely son. I got elected to city council. We got a fully funded HIV/AIDS clinic, the first integrated gay lesbian health center, really in Canada. I co-chaired the Human Rights Campaign with my friend Margie Cogill. We had one of the most fabulous gay prides in Western Canada. And eventually I got elected mayor, and that was an extraordinary journey because, I mean, this was long before George Smitherman or Kyle Ray had, or anyone else really in Canada had gotten elected. So, and Winnipeg is a pretty conservative town, so it was a pretty big breakthrough for gay and lesbian people around the world because, it wasn't until many years later that, Paris and Berlin were the next cities to elect an openly gay man mayor. So I think our community was pretty proud of that as Canadians, that we had it, and we had it in a generally conservative Midwestern city.
Well, as mayor, you did a lot of things. The city taxes were sky high when you came into office. You did something about the taxes. You didn't raise them like in
No,
Toronto. Our taxes go up every
I know
year.
I got to tell you, it's a little challenging sometimes watching city government in other parts of the country. No, I cut taxes by 8.4% overall. Cut the debt in half, but I built more affordable housing. We had the most successful affordable housing program. We built about, I think it was 4,000 affordable housing units. We put the land together for the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. We rebuilt our downtown community colleges downtown, office towers. Extraordinary amount of money went into infrastructure, doubled arts funding. I was labor endorsed, which is interesting because I have a long history as a labor activist. So to sort of be a fiscally prudent mayor who reduced the tax burden at the same time, many people would have known me as a great advocate for increased housing, great successful housing programs, arts programs. I'm very happy that I was labor endorsed in every election I ran in.
We started to talk a little about the Rainbow Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did that train go anyplace? Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, so it's not a model railroad group. Michelle Douglas and I, Joan Anderson, Todd Ross, and a few others got together, realizing that when the McGuinty government passed the final bit of legislation that got us full human rights and marriage rights, same-sex marriage rights, we were looking around and started to realize that there were just too many people in the world that were being killed. What's happening in Uganda right now is a disaster with the laws against gay people to point of execution. The Iranian organizations, gay lesbian organizations, think about 4,000 gays and lesbians in Iran have been killed. So we started this program that created safe houses in countries like Turkey, and got people out of Iran. So we've been working with MCC, Metropolitan Community Church, just to help get people, gay, lesbian, and transgender, bisexual people out of countries where they're being killed. And that is becoming. I mean, we have a global, almost a sexual orientation equivalent of ethnic cleansing going on in some countries right now, where we are just being hunted down by our own governments in parts of the world. And that, to me, I think for gay and lesbian people, and something I want to continue as I get into politics, is that we are a sanctuary and safe haven for gay and lesbian people like few places in the world are, and we need to embrace that.
Well, is it still going? I mean, you mentioned Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle's in Ottawa, but no, it's still going. It's a struggle. It's hard to create and support an organization that's almost entirely is all entirely volunteer, and that's a real important project right now for me to continue. And I think one of the things that when you're an elected official is that you have the chance to get more broadly involved in public service.
And Glen, you're going to obviously win this by-election. I know you're going to win it because being a good Liberal, I'll be there to vote and everything like that. But we've had Mr. Smitherman here for the last few years. How do you feel about taking his place?
I don't think I could ever take his place. George and I have been friends for so long. I think that we can build on his legacy, and he and I have a lot in common. We've both been great housing advocates. One of the reasons I would like to get elected is I would like to see in the next decade that an unprecedented level of collaboration between governments and the community to make sure that every single Ontarian has a key in their pocket to a safe place to live and sleep at night. And I think that bodes well for our community. And I'm pretty proud that we're both gay because, we're not getting elected because we're gay. We're getting elected because we bring a lot of experience we bring some extraordinary experience to
We're looking forward to this new dynamic duo because, it's been far too long where it's been the city versus the province. So let's work together as a team. So, Glen.
So as you would say, God save the Queens.
Right.
All of us.
All of us. And thank you for being here.